Welcome back to episode 4 of our October book club for the reappearance of Rachel Price. Today we will be reading chapters 11 through 15. So yeah, get comfy, get cozy, grab yourself a cup of tea, and we're gonna jump right back into this. Okay. Chapter 11. They stood around in the living room, Belle, Dad, and Rachel, not knowing what to say to each other, what to do, how to be, the room fizzing with the absence of living. Belle was very interested in her fingernails suddenly, picking at them. Dad cracked first, saving them all. Do you want a shower? He asked Rachel. A question that didn't really need an answer. She was dressed in oversized gray sweats and slippers the police had given her after taking her clothes into evidence. She was filthy still, a stuffy smell clinging to the air around her, stale and sharp. Blood, sweat, pee, and everything in between. Only her hands were close to normal. Must have washed them after the police finished taking their photos and swabs. The medical team had cleaned up her feet, too, disinfecting the wounds and blisters and the raw, rubbed skin of her ankle. She didn't need a hospital, they said, just needed rest. Lots of it, and to rehydrate. Sent her off with a bottle of painkillers. Rachel looked at him a long moment. Yes, she said, her voice dark and gravelly, like it belonged to the night. I would really like a shower. You know where it is, Charlie said, awkwardly, his bones locked the same ways Belle's did, all lines and angles. It's a new shower, actually, redone years ago. Fresh towels in the linen closet. Rachel nodded, but she didn't move. Why wouldn't she go? There's nice shampoo up there, Belle said, pushing gently. I make Dad buy the good stuff. Rachel smiled at her. Her teeth were still good. She must have been able to brush them wherever she was. Dad must have been thinking the same thing. Oh, there's new toothbrushes under the sink, he added. Help yourself. I will. She still hadn't moved. Clothes? Or did you throw all of mine out? I guess you thought I was dead, so... Charlie scratched his head. There might be a few things in the closet still. I'll have a look for you. Rachel didn't say anything. I'll set up the spare bedroom for you while you shower, he continued. Put any of your stuff I find in the dresser in there. Give you triple pillows. I know you used to like it that way. Rachel shrugged. Any pillows would be good. A roundabout way to accept the arrangement. You were supposed to be sad about that, huh? Finding out your parents slept in separate bedrooms? But Belle didn't have space to feel anything about that, because there was the other thing, ticking over in her gut, like the engine that was either switched off or it wasn't. She needed to talk to Dad, alone. Okay, Rachel said eventually, hands hidden up her two long sleeves. I'll be down soon. Take as much time as you need. Charlie dipped his head as Rachel walked past him, like he was avoiding her eyes. They heard her gentle feet pattering up the stairs, fading to nothing. The click of the bathroom door, the turn of the lock. I'll go fix up her room, Dad said, bones unlocking now, squeezing Belle's shoulder. Sit down, kiddo. You've had a long day. But Belle couldn't sit down, not for long, following her dad upstairs a few minutes later. Past the rainforest sounds of the bathroom, steam leaking out the gap under the door, the splatter of a body moving under the water, and another sound beneath it. Was Rachel humming in there? The tune, gentle and unhinged, made the hair stand up along Belle's arms. She hurried past the door like something might reach under and catch her. Dad? Belle whispered, finding him in the spare room next to hers. He was fitting fresh white pillowcases over two new pillows. A pile of clothes folded at the end of the bed. One pair of light blue jeans, a couple of t-shirts and sweaters, one pair of striped pajamas. Belle didn't know he had kept any of Rachel's clothes. Dad? She hissed louder again, over the noise of the shower. Huh? You okay, kiddo? Not at all. What a stupid question. But maybe it was one you were supposed to ask, pretending things were normal when they would never be again. Are you okay? She asked him. He stared down at the bed, running his hands across the patterned comforter, flattening out the lines. I'm okay, he said, not confirming it with his eyes, keeping them to himself. It's just... still in shock, is all. It doesn't feel real, like I might wake up soon and this... Belle finished the thought for him. This will all go away. Rachel would go away. We'll take some getting used to, he said, carrying the folded clothes, placing them in the top drawer of the empty dresser. Do you have any underwear, Belle, that you could lend your mom? Belle's lip pulled up into a sneer, exposing her teeth. Sorry, he said. Dad, she hardened her voice, bringing his attention back to her. She didn't know how much time they had. Rachel was out of sight, out of earshot, but even down the hall felt too close. Back to a whisper. Dad, Do you think she's telling the truth? His eyes narrowed, flicking side to side across Belle's face and beyond. What do you mean? About what happened to her? How she disappeared, reappeared? His face rearranged, mouth moving around unspoken words, but then he did speak them. Why would she lie about it? And that wasn't a stupid question. I don't know, she said. Look, Belle. He took a hold of her shoulders, gentle but firm. I think she's been through something horrible, something unbelievable, which makes it hard to believe. A muscle twitched in his cheek, the sad ghost of a smile. But she has no reason to lie, Belle, and you have no reason not to believe her. That one hurt. Belle stepped back to steady herself. She thought her dad might be with her on this. He was always with her. And if he said Rachel was telling the truth, then Belle had to believe it. So why was it so hard to make herself believe? That one discrepancy, tightening its hands around her throat, something to push against. Dad moved to the nightstand, opening the drawer to check it was empty, swiping a layer of dust from the surface with a sleeve. He switched on the little yellow lamp, shaped like a metallic mushroom. You're not happy she's back, are you? Belle could tell. She could tell instantly the moment he'd walk in the kitchen and saw Rachel there and recognized her. I'm happy she's back, he said. No, he insisted. I'm happy she's alive, of course I am. She's my wife, the woman I love most in the world. It doesn't feel the way you think it will, after all that time. We're in shock, all of us. Things will be strange for a while, kiddo, and I'm sorry about that. But that doesn't mean I'm unhappy, okay? He knocked his finger under her chin as he passed. Got my 2 girls, my family. He glanced at his watch. It's 9. I know it's late, but I should make dinner, shouldn't I? None of us have eaten properly. He gestured with his head down the hall towards the steaming bathroom. What do you think she'd want to eat? I don't know. I don't know her, she said, still stinging. Was it possible Belle was the one who'd made a mistake, not Rachel? Maybe she hadn't been listening properly. She could be forgetful like that. Dad said things would be strange for a while, and that meant Belle too. She definitely felt strange. Pizza, Dad said, nodding, agreeing with himself. I'll order pizza. If there was ever an excuse for takeout. He left it there, and left Belle there too, walking out into the hallway just as the shower screeched off. They sat in the living room. Dad took the armchair early. It was his spot, so Belle and Rachel were on the sofa, at opposite ends. Belle's legs straight out in front, hyper-aware every time she felt movement in the cushions, a shift in the corner of her eye. It was even stranger. Now Rachel was clean, looking closer to her old self, to the Rachel Price of the family videos and missing posters and news bulletins. The face of an unsolvable mystery, now solved. The 43-year-old version of that 27-year-old missing woman. She was wearing her old navy striped pajamas, cheeks still flushed from her hot shower, skin white and clean, grooves of pink where she'd scrubbed too hard. Feet bare, cracked and blistered, tucked up on the sofa. Hair wet, brushed back from her face so her birthmark showed. Now she smelled like coconut and aloe vera, and that was stranger still, because those usually belonged to Belle. Rachel leaned forward for another slice of pizza from the box, dropping it onto her plate. She didn't eat it right away, the flickering images of the television playing across the glass of her eyes. She caught Belle looking. A smile stretched across her face, new lines you couldn't see before. The smile duplicated through the skin of her cheeks. Chin pointed just the way Belle's did, stolen from her. She looked happy to be home. Belle tried to smile back. I borrowed your hairbrush, Anna, Rachel said. Sorry, Annabelle. Belle. Hope you don't mind. Belle did mind. More about the name, though. That's okay, she said, forcing herself to eat another slice so she didn't have to talk. Wow, Rachel stared at the TV. Look at those graphics. Almost looks like a real dragon. Well, you know. But no one did know. And no one spoke until Charlie cleared his throat. Did you have a TV in the basement? He asked, watching the dragon, not her. Rachel shook her head, making him look at her anyway. No TV. She took a bite, kept speaking with her mouth full. No books. He gave me pens and papers. I would draw. Got pretty good at it. Something to keep me busy. And I used to write stories. Lots of them. About you, actually. Rachel looked at Belle. Both of you. What you were up to. Imagining new chapters in your lives. Imagining our lives if I'd never been taken. I'd write them out and save them to read back to myself months or years later. I'm no Jane Austen. She laughed, a small controlled laugh. Who could laugh about that? Talking about their prison cell. But it gave me something to do. Kept me sane. No one said anything for a while, and the silence was too much, itchy as it climbed up Belle's back. There's one more slice of pizza, she said to the room, shaking the box. No thanks, Rachel. Charlie said without looking. You help yourself. Belle's jaw locked. Dad, that was me, she said quietly. Oh, sorry, Belle, he flushed. No, you have it. I'm full. Rachel didn't react, but she must have been thinking something, hiding it from her face. On the television, the dragon was gone. Now there was a man who was supposed to be a prince, pushing a woman up against a dank dungeon wall, lifting her dress. She begged him not to. Charlie grabbed the remote, flicking it to a different channel. Something lighter, he said under his breath, stopping on a cartoon where they swore more than Belle. Rachel was watching him too, something new in her expression, only half readable. He didn't touch me, she said to the room as well. Never like that. Police asked that too. Just used to sit on the stairs and watch me sometimes. Only came close to bring food and paper. I think he liked keeping me is all. Okay, Charlie said, after a moment, because what were you supposed to say to something like that? So you can put your dragons back on if you want, she said. I'm okay. I think it's time for bed anyway. Charlie switched the TV off, standing with an awkward stretch. Would be good to get a nice long sleep. We've all had a day. Belle, can you take the plates to the kitchen? Rachel chewed her cheek. Belle reached over to take the plate in front of her, stacking it with her own and then Dad's. She carried them into the kitchen, loaded them into the dishwasher, not focusing on what her hands were doing, ears pricked and listening. By the time she got back to the living room, Charlie was explaining where they'd now kept the glasses in the kitchen. Belle didn't know they'd ever lived anywhere else. The cupboard above the microwave seemed like a better place for them. If you want to take water up to bed or something. Rachel was standing now, too. Do you have everything you need? Charlie asked her. For bed? Yes, I have everything I need, she said, but the way she said it sounded almost like a threat. Good. Charlie smiled one small, desperate smile, fighting to keep it on his face. Well, good night, I guess. See you in the morning. Yes, she said, rubbing her eyes with the navy striped sleeve. Good night. Good night, Annabelle. Night, Belle said, almost cracking at the strangeness of it all, of playing family, of how unnormal all these normal things felt. Belle couldn't sleep, a runner's heart in her chest, beating in her ears, wondering if the air coming through in the cracks of the door was the same air Rachel Price had already breathed. It had been 3 a.m. last time she checked her phone. The light was off now, but that didn't help. Sleep dancing around in front of her, always one step out of reach. She had to sleep. Had to, because maybe she'd wake up and find out none of this was real after all. That she'd just fallen on the train tracks and cracked her head, inventing everything from that point on. Rachel Price would disappear again, like she was supposed to. But wishing wouldn't make it true. Rachel was really here, and she was real, but that didn't mean her story was. Dave Winter said it was a mistake, and Dad believed Rachel, or said that he did, but maybe he was doing that for Belle's sake. He always put her first. Maybe he thought she needed a mom. She didn't. She didn't need anyone. Belle was about to check the time again, but as she reached out, she heard a click in the dark. The shush of her door, pushing open against the thick carpet. Belle lowered her arms and held her breath. There was a dark figure in the doorway, silvery outline picked out by the moonlight. Not Dad. It was Rachel. Belle forced her eyes shut, pretending to be asleep. Heart faster now, panicked couplets beating a word that sounded like danger, danger, danger. Gut knotting up beneath the blankets. Belle heard Rachel take one step inside the room, the gentle windstorm of her breath, in and out of her nose. Rachel was watching her sleep, except she wasn't asleep. Go away, Belle thought, squeezing her eyes tighter. Please go away. Fighting the battle with her mind, pushing Rachel away. It must have worked. A few moments later, the door shushed again, clicking shut. Belle opened one eye to check, spotting for a specter in the dark, but Rachel was gone. That is chapter 11, by the way. That's crazy. Yeah, I can't even imagine. That seems like the most awkward situation to, your mom is gone, and then she's all of a sudden back again, even though it's been like 16 years or whatever it is. And then you just have to act like everything's fine. Like that would be a very, very strange adjustment. Also, it is good to know that at least the guy didn't do anything to harm her. So the guy didn't hurt her, at least according to her story. But again, I think this entire story, we will probably be arguing whether her stories are true or false at this point. But But yeah, I feel like that's something you can't lie about. So I'm happy no one touched her. But it is also strange for someone to just kidnap you to not... I mean, I know that's also an out-of-pocket statement. But, you know, like to just keep you as a pet is kind of crazy. Chapter 12. Morning came, eventually. A yellow promise pawing at the sky in her window. Belle hid in her room. Her fortress, badly defended, surrounded on all sides by this possibility of Rachel Price. She could be anywhere. A figure in the shape of her mother, creeping around, laying claim to the house even though Belle had lived in it longer. Belle waited, ear to the door, listening. She heard the pad of footsteps downstairs, a clatter in the kitchen, but she couldn't tell whether it was Dad or Rachel. It sounded like one person, no voices. The front door slammed and Belle jumped. New footsteps, heavier, and the swish of plastic bags. That must have been Dad, but where had he been? Did that mean he'd left Belle all alone in the house with Rachel? Thank goodness she hadn't left her room. Now there were voices, muffled and low. Belle straightened up, stomach rumbling. It was safe now. Dad was down there too. Well, safer. She opened the door and went downstairs. Charlie was half inside the refrigerator, unloading a grocery bag. Rachel was by the counter, and she caught Belle first, like she'd been waiting to do that, eyes trained on the doorway. "Oh, good morning," she said, a smile on her face as bright as the sun. "I was about to bring you this. I made you a coffee, Anna." She stepped forward, brandishing a mug. "Sorry, Belle. Can't get used to that." Belle didn't mean to take it. Do you like coffee?" Rachel hesitated too, losing the smile. "Sorry, I don't know the things you like yet. I want to learn. Everything." Dad looked over, a nudge in his eyes. Things were supposed to feel strange, remember? Belle shuffled one foot forward, offering Rachel an inch. "I like coffee," she said. The smile reappeared. "With milk, right?" She handed it over, their fingers colliding again. A cold afterglow where Rachel's skin had touched hers. At least the sharp, overgrown nails were gone. Belle looked down at the coffee. "Is it too much milk? Not enough? I want to learn," Rachel said again, not stepping back like she should, taking up too much space. "It looks perfect." Belle took a tiny sip, using it as an excuse to move away into a seat at the kitchen table. Rachel beamed down at her. "Do you want anything else? Orange juice? You like juice?" "I'm fine," Belle said, the words echoing inside the mug. "Gonna do some bacon and eggs for breakfast," Charlie said, coming back out of the refrigerator, crushing the empty plastic bag in one hand. So that's where he'd been, out getting groceries, not just leaving to leave Belle here. He clattered away with pots and pans, busying himself at the stove, removing 2 plates from the drawer, forgetting, and going back for a third, laying them out on the counter. Rachel took the chair one away from Belle, nursing her own coffee. In the Santa mug. Dad's favorite. "Belle," Charlie said, breaking the eggs into a jug, "you cracked a plate last night when you loaded the dishwasher." Did she? She didn't remember, but she had no awareness of her hands at the time. All attention diverted into her ears, listening out for her parents in the other room. One must have slipped. "Sorry, didn't realize." "No problem, kiddo, just letting you know." He smiled at her, laying the bacon out on the pan in regimented lines. "So, Annabelle," Rachel said loudly, catching herself just in time, cracking Belle's name into self-conscious halves. "You must be in senior year. Not long to go. Are you at Gorham High? How's your GPA? Did you apply to college?" Her eyes seared into Belle's. Belle blinked away, looking down into her coffee. "Yes, I'm at Gorham High. GPA's fine," because fine was way easier to say than distinctly average, as Principal Wheeler had put it. "I'm starting the liberal arts program at White Mountains Community College in the fall." A good choice, so she could stay at home with Dad, an unspoken promise between them, to never leave the other behind. Except now there would be a stranger in her home too. "Great," Rachel said, smile hidden behind Santa's on the mug. "Do you know what you want to do yet?" "I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was your age, and I always hated being asked." "Sorry." Was there still a question in there? "I don't know," Belle answered, clinging to those safe, dependable words. "That's fine. You have all the time in the world to figure it out. What about hobbies? Sports? You play any?" "Not really." Rachel blinked, a strain in her smile. "So, what do you like to do for fun?" Belle shrugged. "Just kind of stay home, I guess." "Friends over?" Why was Rachel asking her so many questions? She hadn't asked Charlie even one. interrogating Belle, pushing her into corners, and when Belle got pushed into a corner, she normally came out fighting. She bit it down this time, really trying, because she wasn't ready for war. She didn't know yet whether she and Rachel belonged on the same side. Carter comes over a lot, she said, a grateful flash in her eyes. And who's Carter? Belle forgot. There was no overlap. Carter knew of Rachel, but not the other way around. She's my cousin, Belle said. Jeff and Sherry's daughter, born a few months after you left. Her eyes widened. Maybe they'd both picked up on the word Belle had used there. Laughed. Rachel pressed a hand to her chest, the ones with her rings, wedding, and engagement. She'd kept them on all this time, too. That's nice. I'm so happy for them. They always wanted a baby. Not a baby anymore, said Belle. She's almost 16. Do they still live in number 19? Rachel asked. Jeff and Sherry. Yes, Charlie answered this time. What about Pat, Charlie? Rachel said suddenly, narrowing her eyes. He's alive, yeah. Charlie sniffed, stirring the eggs. Went to see him this morning, actually. He had a couple of strokes, the first one last summer. Has vascular dementia now. Doesn't remember a lot. Not doing so great. We have a full-time caregiver with him. Oh, I'm sorry. Rachel put her mug down with a thunk, a splash of coffee over the rim. Santa crying dark brown tears. That must be tough. What about my parents? Oh, I should call them. She rose up from her chair, almost like she meant to do it right now. Rachel? Charlie said in a small voice. He didn't turn back to say it. Your dad passed away 4 years ago. It was cancer. I'm sorry. She dropped back into her chair, smile peeling away, retreating muscle by muscle. I'm sorry, Charlie said again, even though Granddaddy dying wasn't his fault. Rachel went to wash her hands for breakfast. She didn't come back for 6 minutes, eyes rubbed red when she did. The eggs and bacon and toast were ready and waiting. Dave Winter called, Charlie said, snapping a piece of bacon in half. Chief of Police, he explained, reading the confusion on Rachel's face. Maybe she wasn't unreadable to him. They'll be around this afternoon sometime. They'll go over details for the press conference tomorrow morning, and see how you're doing, of course. They want to get you booked in with a psychiatrist. Rachel nodded absently. Another mouthful before she asked. Do you know him well, the police chief? We've had our dealings, Charlie replied, a cough to help the bacon go down. He's the one who arrested me for your murder, Rachel. His eyes were shy, dropping to his plate. Right, she said, just as shy, spooling her fork through the pile of fluffy eggs. There would be more questions on that later, Belle thought, once Rachel worked up the courage. There were landmines everywhere. Open your mouth and they blew up. Dead dads and wrongful arrests, and nieces she never knew about. Charlie's phone rang then, a welcome break in the tension, buzzing angrily on the phone. He looked at the screen and ended the call, his face giving nothing away. Bells went off too, vibrating in her lap. She glanced down at the name on screen, Ramsey Lee, and let it ring out. You should call them, Rachel said, eyes tripping over the sharp lines of the rectangular device in front of Charlie, like this was her first time seeing a smartphone and understanding what it did. Your brother and Sherry. Invite them over. I'd like to see them. Meet their daughter. They should know before the world does at the press conference tomorrow. You should call Jeff. Okay. Rachel couldn't have meant right this second. He hadn't even finished his breakfast, but Charlie picked up his phone and wandered out of the kitchen, disappearing upstairs like he'd been waiting for any excuse to escape. Like it was unbearable to sit here, being a family of 3. Belle got up to clear the table so she could escape too, clinging to the low hum of Dad's voice through the ceiling. That's not the end of the chapter, but I can't believe she's being told that, you know, now she has a niece. Her dad passed. Like, this is so crazy for, like, obviously it's crazy for the family to be like, whoa, your wife's not dead. Like, and then on top of it to be like, hey, here's news for you too. Look at all this stuff that happened in 16 years, because that's totally fair. That's so crazy. A knock on the door. An uneasy knock. At once too serious and too silly. 5 taps clumped together in a tune. That would be Uncle Jeff. Bat at reading rooms, even when he wasn't in them. Dad had just told him on the phone. Repeated it until Jeff believed it. So they knew what to expect. The 3 of them. But you wouldn't have known it by their faces. When Belle pulled open the door, Rachel standing behind her, still in the striped pajamas. Oh my gosh! Sherry gasped, somewhere between a whisper and a shriek, flickering between the two. Oh my gosh! More a shriek now as she barged past Belle, folding Rachel into a tight hug. Rachel returned it, just as tight. Oh my gosh! Sherry held Rachel back to look at her, running her fingers through her short, hacked hair. There was a matching smile on Rachel's face, eyes looming and wet. Rachel, honey, I can't believe you're alive! Rachel cried. We all thought you were gone forever. I can't believe you're really here, sweetie. This can't be real. Sherry squeezed Rachel again, breaking into sobs that shook both of them, locked in an earthquake together. We missed you so much, Sherry continued. Gosh, it's a miracle. Move over, Cher, Jeff said, stepping into the house. Let me look at her. Rachel sidestepped back into view, tears falling into her open smile. Hello, Jeff, she croaked, but her eyes strayed behind him, to Carter, who was now shoulder to shoulder with Belle. Carter squeezed Belle's hand, and Belle squeezed hers back. They didn't always need to speak. That said enough, a language of their own. Come here, Jeff said, ours open pincher-wise, catching Rachel. I can't believe you're really back. It's been such a long time. We always hoped, but I never thought... He pulled away. So good to have you back, Rach. It's good to be back, she said, glaze flickering to the front door, to Belle and Carter standing there against the sun. Jeff followed her eyes. Oh, Rachel, this is our daughter Carter. Rachel completed it for him. A nod of her head, almost a bow. Belle already told me about you. Hi, Aunt Rachel. Carter stepped forward, waving one awkward hand. It's nice to meet you. Rachel moved too, meeting her halfway. They leaned into a hug, arms slotting in. It's good to meet you too, sweetie, Rachel said, eyes glittering as she pulled away. Sweetie. She hadn't called Belle that yet. Couldn't even get her name right. Come to think of it, Rachel hadn't tried to hug Belle either. Or Charlie, for that matter, her own husband. The people she should love most. But Sherry and Jeff and Carter walked through the door and they got hugs and smiles and sweeties. Very good to meet you, Rachel said, another smile for Carter, another stab in Belle's gut. It wasn't jealousy, don't be stupid. It was something else, a side effect of the wrongness of it all, of Rachel, and everything she said and did. Something wasn't right, whatever Dad wanted to believe. When's your birthday, Carter? July 10th, Carter answered, still too close to Rachel. Something in Belle wanted to pull her cousin away, protect her from Rachel's gaze. Rachel nodded. So you must have been pregnant, Sherry, when I was taken? I was, just not showing yet. I'm sure we have lots to catch up on, 16 years worth, but we can't do it all here in the hallway, Rachel said, the tears gone but a near unnoticeable shake in her bottom lip, threatening to bring them back. Maybe she was just realizing people had had entire lives in the time she was gone. Please, let's sit down. Jeff and Sherry walked into the living room, greeting Charlie with more, oh my gosh, and I can't believe it's. Rachel glanced at Belle, a look in her eyes that was still unreadable. Then she gestured Carter ahead with the kind after you, following behind her. No one mind Belle, then. She shut the front door harder than she had to. Dad put on another pot of coffee, and Sherry had brought cupcakes. They were just sitting around the house. She thought she might as well bring them. Didn't feel right, though. Happy blue and yellow frostings with sprinkles turned this into a celebration somehow. Belle was full from breakfast. None for her, thanks. No one asked anything about Rachel's missing time, speaking around those 16 years in wide, awkward circles. Dad must have asked them not to. Rachel seemed happy with that, focusing on everyone else. She must have been sick of the story of her disappearance and reappearance, too. The number of times she had to repeat it in the last 24 hours to Belle, Charlie, the Gorham Police Department, State Police, Feds, Attorney General's office. It must have been exhausting, especially trying to remember all those little details. She already messed it up once. Belle needed to stop thinking about it. Maybe she should have cake. So, Carter, tell me about yourself, Rachel said, studying her niece, wedged on the sofa between her parents. What subjects do you like at school? What do you do for fun? This question again. Had Rachel forgotten what fun meant? Was that what 16 years being disappeared did to you? I like English lit most, Carter fiddled with her sleeve. Really? Rachel beamed. Do you go to Gorham High with Belle? I used to teach English lit there. Carter nodded politely. She already knew that. She had to walk past the Rachel shrine every day, too. Rachel must not know yet that she was this town's most popular mystery. What's your favorite book? Rachel asked her. She hadn't asked Belle that yet. Belle liked to read, too. Carter's actually a dancer, Rachel. Sherry cut in, a dramatic sip of her coffee. A ballerina. She has the potential to go all the way. Wow, really? Rachel said, eyes lighting up. That's amazing. I'd love to see you dance sometime. Carter swallowed her mouthful of cake. There's a show at my dance school in a few weeks, she said. Was that an invite? Carter never asked Belle to come and watch her. That must be quite a commitment on top of your schoolwork, Rachel said. Do you enjoy all the dancing, Carter? She loves it. Sherry spoke for her, a proud squeeze of Carter's bony knee. Lives for it. Carter nodded, agreeing. She told Belle sometimes it was easier to let her mom speak for her. Sherry loved to speak, and Carter didn't always. They worked well together like that, how a mother and daughter should. So, Rachel, Sherry turned attention back to her. Charlie said there's going to be a press conference tomorrow morning. Are you ready for the world to know you're back? It's going to be a media poop storm, pardon my French. Rachel looked unsure what to say. Charlie spoke instead. He'd been quiet for a while, hovering close to Belle's chair. We'd dealt with media poop storms in the past. We can do it again. As a family. Happier news this time, Jeff added. Finally a chance to clear your name for good, Charlie. No one can think you killed your wife now. I don't have anything to wear, Rachel said in a small voice, a flash of shame as she looked down at the pajamas, everyone else dressed for the day. Honey, Sherry said, sticking out her bottom lip in sympathy, the flap of her hand. Don't you worry about that. I can lend you something, or maybe Belle something you could borrow. Sherry nudged Belle with her eyes. You two are the same size. Belle, you must have something your mom can wear. A black dress, something nice? Everyone waited for her answer. Yeah, Belle said. I'll find something. Thanks, Anna, Rachel said, a small smile to match her small voice. It was Belle. She hoped someone else in the room would correct Rachel for her, but a knock at the door saved them. Charlie stiffened. Did you order anything, Belle? She shook her head and followed him out of the room, to get away from Rachel's eyes, too much like her own. Charlie pulled the door open with an intake of breath. Ramsey was standing at the doorstep, James next to him, a camera perched on his shoulder. Saba and Ash arranged behind on the steps, a yellow backward cap over Ash's curly hair, the boom microphone hanging above them all. Sorry to come unannounced, Ramsey said, a grating sound as he ran his hand over his stubble. Been trying to call you, both of you, since you left set yesterday, Belle. He looked sorry about that, like he worked out why that happened. Solved a mini mystery in the shadow of the main one. He didn't know that was solved now, too. Although Belle bet he was about to find out in 3. We've rescheduled the reenactment, but that's not why we're here, too. Listen, don't really know how to say this, but there's a weird rumor going on round. Kisa, who owns the hotel, said she heard from someone that Rachel has won. The life drained from Ramsey's face all at once, teeth gritted in the shape of his broken word. Eyes wide. Horror or awe or both. There she was, hanging in the hallway behind, like she'd been summoned from the mention of her name. Hadn't worked for 16 years, but it worked every time now. Appeared. Ramsey whispered the rest. Ash rose up from his tiptoes behind, eyes searching for what Ramsey had seen, starting with Belle, trailing to the woman behind. Frick, he mouthed silently, leaving his lips open around it. Hello, Rachel said, narrowing her eyes, surprised to see a British film crew standing at her front door, staring in shock. Rachel? Ramsey staggered. Rachel Price? Rachel stepped forward, glancing at Belle, then Charlie, like she was checking with them first. Neither of them said anything to stop her. That's me, she dipped her head. Who are you? Jesus Christ, he whistled. No, that's not my name. I'm Ramsey Lee, filmmaker. He offered his hand for her to shake, a visible shiver pressing through him when she did. Was he scared, or was this the best thing that ever happened to him? He probably wouldn't struggle to find a broadcaster for his documentary now. Sorry, this is very surreal, Ramsey sniffed. We've been making a documentary about you. I can't believe you're alive, after all this time. It was a surprise for all of us, Charlie said. Well, not Rachel. She knew she was alive. Sorry, didn't get a chance to tell you about this yet, Charlie said to Rachel, gesturing at the crew. Gosh, it's so strange meeting you, Ramsey continued. I've done so much research about you in the last few months, it almost feels like we've already met. Whoa, hey, wait, Charlie said suddenly, a trace of rare anger in his voice that made everyone stand back, Rachel and Belle too. Are you rolling? He eyeballed the camera on James' shoulder. Ramsey slinked back over the threshold, Prices inside, crew out, redrawing the line between them. Well, yes, he said, not meeting Charlie's eye. I'd wanted to see your reaction to this crazy rumor. I'd never in a million years thought that Rachel would actually... Stop recording! Charlie put his hands up to block the camera's view. She hasn't even had her first full day back yet. We are still processing. The investigation is ongoing. The police won't want us talking to you until they've worked out what information they want to release publicly. Charlie ushered them all back, stepping down the stairs in their same formation, not breaking ranks. Ash was on the path, staring at Belle like he was trying to catch her attention. She gave it to him for 1 second. You okay? He mouthed. Belle took her attention back. There's a press conference tomorrow morning in town hall, Charlie said, shooing them further. After that, I will talk to the police and see where that leaves us with the dog. Okay, Ramsay said, bowing his head quickly, one finger raised. But what's it called? Rachel cut in, hovering in the doorway, eyes screwed against the sun. The documentary? Rachel swallowed, staring up at her. The disappearance of Rachel Price. Except, I guess we'll have to change the name now. To what? Not to the reappearance of Rachel Price. Goodness gracious. Is this book what the documentary was supposed to be? No, I'm just kidding. My gosh, oh my gosh. Charlie, what a man, being like, hey, first day back, let her chill. But he is right, though, with the police having to clear what they're going to tell the public. I kind of feel bad for Belle because, like she noticed, her mom has already been giving hugs and calling her cousin sweetie when, like, they're not. I mean, obviously they're still family, but I understand that she didn't even call Belle anything other than Annabelle. So that's just so crazy. So I very much understand why she's hurt by that. I am nervous for this press conference for her, like her as in the mom. I also feel bad that Carter wanted to talk about what book she likes, and the mom's like, she's a dancer. Don't worry about it. She's a dancer. My girl, she's a dancer, you know? It just, I don't know. I feel bad for Carter, but that's a whole other thing. I don't know if anything will come out of that other than Carter maybe finding her own voice by the end of the book, but we'll see. Chapter 13. The world knew before midday on Monday. Rachel Price reappeared, a tabletop microphone pointed at her face, wearing Belle's long black knitted dress. Sitting between Charlie and Belle, Police Chief Dave Winters on one side of the wide table, someone from the FBI on the other. It was playing again on the news now, the third time this channel had run it already. Belle was watching herself on TV, betrayed by her own face, by how much the camera made her look like Rachel, sitting side by side. The suspect remains at large, Dave said again with the vague description of him that Rachel had provided. A composite sketch on the screen. It could have been anyone. Please call the following number if you have any information that could assist in our inquiries. Charlie and Belle never spoke, even though they'd been given microphones. They were just props. The picture of a reunited family. Happy, but not too much, Dave had told them. It wasn't a true happy ending until the man was caught. They passed to Rachel for one small comment at the end. I'm so grateful to be safe and back home with my daughter and husband. I would appreciate if everyone respected our privacy at this time as we readjust to normal life. Normal was a strange choice of word. Life had been normal before she came back. She was the one who took that away. They weren't taking questions at this time. Thank you and goodbye. Sidling out of the room while the journalist murmured hungrily and the cameras flashed, throwing lightning in their eyes. Here, Rachel loomed over her now, surprising her, handing over a plate with a sandwich. Belle was careful as she took it, making sure not to touch Rachel's hands. Cheese, ham, and pickle, cut into triangles. Rachel sat on the sofa beside her, dressed in the old jeans and t-shirt Dad had found for her, both too big. You said that was your favorite, didn't you, Anna? She had, yesterday, but she didn't realize it would be used against her like this. Did Rachel think this was how she became Belle's mom again? Trying to be too normal too soon? It didn't feel right. More than that, it felt wrong. Thanks. Belle looked down at the sandwich, still not very hungry. Taking a bite felt like defeat somehow, but she had to. Rachel was right here, watching her, waiting. Belle bit off a corner and chewed. Good, thank you, she said. But Rachel gave her a winning smile. Charlie walked into the living room then, eyes catching on Belle's plate. Rachel hadn't made him a sandwich. He had his work jacket on, keys to his truck dangling from a finger. Oh no. Are you leaving? Belle asked him. She always said that whenever he picked up his keys. It was one of their routines, their rituals. But it mattered more now. Gotta go to work, kiddo. Told Gabe I would. He couldn't take the rest of the day off? Belle wasn't going into school. There was no point now. And she knew it would be awful, everyone staring at her now that the news was out. Do you have to? Belle asked, panic seizing the knot in her gut, giving him the chance to change his mind, to stay with her. I'll be back before dinner. Belle looked at her phone. It was 2:00. At least 5 hours between now and dinner. Was he really going to leave her alone with Rachel? Dad? Maybe Belle could insist she had to walk into school for the last hours of the day. What would be worse, the stairs or staying here? A car door slammed outside the house, close enough to prick at Belle's attention. Charlie's too, wandering over to the front window, moving the lace curtain to peer into. Great, he muttered, dropping the curtain, looming behind it. What? Rachel asked him before Belle could. A Fox News van just pulled up, he said. CNN's already here. So it begins. He wiped his nose on his sleeve. Keep the curtain shut. Don't let them get anything. Belle nodded. Rachel didn't. Shouldn't I take them something? She said. Coffee? They have to stand out there all day. Best not to engage, Charlie said, not meeting her eyes. We've been through all this before, Rachel. I didn't say you hadn't, she countered. Belle swallowed, towing the edge of another landmine, all of them. Dad couldn't really leave her here, could he? Oh, Charlie, Rachel said, stopping him in his tracks. Her voice wasn't raspy and rough anymore, closer to normal, which was worse somehow, because she'd stolen that from Belle, too. Could you leave your credit card? He stared at her, hands hidden in his pockets. I've been back for 2 days now, she said in an explanation, rearing up from the sofa, a hard step forward on the shaky ground. There's things I need. A phone, clothes, so I can stop stealing Annabelle's. Until I can access my own money again, if it's still there. Right, Charlie swallowed. Okay, sure. He dug around in his jeans pockets for his wallet. Here. He came over, placed the credit card down on the coffee table with a snap, and retreated again, backtracking through the minefield. He glanced at the two of them, zipping up his jacket. We'll be fine, won't we? Rachel said, with a smile for Belle that was too sweet, too forced, making the knot pull tighter. It'll be good to spend some time, just the two of us. We could watch a movie, make dinner together, play a board game. Anything you want to do, Annabelle. It's your choice. What Belle wanted to do was keep Dad here, stop him from leaving, or barricade herself in a room away from Rachel. That was what she chose. Dad? She followed him into the hall, watched him approach the front door and reach for the handle. Dad, wait. Rachel wanted to cry. She'd never cried, but she would now, just to stop him from going. Do we still have Monopoly? Rachel asked behind her. Dad pulled the door open. See you later, he said, not looking back, even with Belle's eyes burning in the back of his head, trying to hold him there. What about chess? Rachel said, oblivious to the storm inside Belle. The front door clicked shut, taking Dad away, resealing the house behind him. Belle, still standing here, left alone with Rachel. An eruption of voices outside, muffled through the glass. Charlie, how's it feel to have your wife back home? How's Rachel doing? How's the family coping with their sudden return? How does it feel to finally be free of suspicion of your wife's murder? That's a pretty good feeling, right? Can you comment on the... A slam. A rumble of his truck engine, drowning the voices out. Charlie! Charlie Price! His own name chased after him as he backed out and drove away. A strange silence in his wake, foaming at the edges as Belle went back to the living room, avoiding Rachel's gaze, watching TV as the newscasters introduced another replay of the press conference, a breaking news banner declaring Rachel Price found alive after 16 years presumed dead. Belle swallowed. She'd been one of those presumers. Rachel turned the TV off without asking, reaching for the coffee table. She slid Dad's credit card up off the edge and held it up. Hey, she said, turning a smile towards Belle. If you don't feel like a board game, how about a shopping trip? Belle stared across at her. Huh? You, me, go to the mall together? Rachel waved the card, almost fanning herself with it. That's what moms do with their daughters, right? Shopping? Fashion shows in the living room when you get home? It's one of the big things we missed out on, I think. I really like if we could try. We can get you some things too, of course. Do you need a new jacket? She pocketed the card, waiting for Belle's response. Belle hesitated, backing into the arms of the sofa, trying to think of reasons not to. Are you allowed? She said. The news only just broke. The police investigation ongoing. The man's still out there. Are you allowed to go outside? Rachel didn't like the question. Belle could tell by the shift in her eyes. Maybe she wasn't that unreadable. I was locked inside for 15 years, Anna, she said, voice gentle, a sad crackle to it. I don't have to stay inside ever again for any reason. Come on, we'll have fun, I promise. A sinking in Belle's gut. It took Belle a second to catch up with it, to see past the wrong name, picking up on the other wrong thing. 16 years, she said, pointing it out for the both of them. Rachel paused, her expression drawn. That's what I said, isn't it? You said 15. Rachel narrowed her eyes for one more second, then shook her head, her face blank and well-guarded. Did I? Sorry, I meant to say 16, obviously. Obviously she meant to say that, but she hadn't. Another innocent mistake, like the engine thing. But 2 mistakes makes some kind of pattern? A slip of the tongue or a slip-up of the truth? There must be an explanation, like Rachel had lost count of the years in the basement, just as she said. Because the only other explanation was that Rachel was lying for some reason, that she'd never been locked inside for any number of years, and that couldn't be it, right? Just another error. The second time Belle had caught her in as many days. Why was no one else ever around to hear them, too? So, what do you say? Rachel said, studying Belle as hard as Belle was studying her. I don't know, she said, speaking carefully. It's Dad's money, and things are a little tight at the moment. Not sure we should go out and spend it. A smile pressed into Rachel's cheek, blank somehow, reinforcing the look in her eyes. Annabelle, sweetie, you don't need to worry about that. Essentials only, she said with a wink. Besides, he must be getting paid for this documentary about me that he signed up for. Rachel wasn't wrong there, but that money was for Grandpa. Belle was running out of excuses, Rachel batting them away one by one. We don't have a car, she tried again. That's okay, we can get the bus to Berlin, or a taxi. That was her last one. Checkmate, Rachel wins. Guess she and Rachel were going shopping then, unless Belle could break her leg in the next few minutes, or Rachel's. They'd be in public, surrounded by other people, but she would still be alone with Rachel. Wait, that gave Belle another idea. I know, she said, backing into a corner, coming out swinging. We should ask the documentary crew to come along. Rachel took a step back. Really? She said. Is that what you want? Sure. Belle brushed off her knees. They'd love to get footage of you at the White Mountains Mall, the first place he disappeared. Well, where we disappeared. That's kind of the thing they get excited about. Artsy, you know? Now it was her turn to wink, just as forced as Rachel's. Maybe it'll be nice to have a record of our first shopping trip together, marking the occasion. You can't always rely on memory to keep things like that. She smiled, showing teeth. Oh, right, Rachel stuttered. If that's what you want. I just thought we could have the day to art. Cool, I'll call Ramsey. Belle dug out her phone. He'll be thrilled about this, might even squeal. She pressed his name to dial, walking away from Rachel into the kitchen. Ramsey picked up on the third ring. Belle? Hi, Ramsey, she said brightly. What's up? Nothing, just wanted to chat. Belle? He said, seeing through her, saying her name sideways. I have an idea, she said loudly, making her voice carry. Me and Rachel are going to go shopping to the White Mountains Mall for some essentials. We wondered if you wanted to come with us to do some filming. You know, all that artsy stuff. Ramsey breathed down the phone. Really? Yeah. It's a nice idea, Belle, and I do appreciate it, I do. But don't you want to spend some time alone with your mum? She's only been home 48 hours. No, that's okay, Belle said, brighter. Ramsey paused, his breath and a stronger breeze prickling against the microphone. You're sure? He said, not sounding sure himself. I'm sure. Tell Ash to wear something normal. We don't want to attract attention. Ramsey sniffed in her sarcasm. We're actually just down the street, filming the media outside your house. Good, Belle said, so you can be here in 30 seconds. She hung up, cutting Ramsey off. Then she leaned into the living room, shooting Rachel a thumbs up. They'll be here soon, she said. Great, Rachel attempted a smile, clapping her hands together. This'll be fun. Thank you, Annabelle. No problem. You should eat the rest of your sandwich before we go, Rachel said, pointing to it. That's okay. I'm not too hungry. Thanks, though. Not just words, moves and counter-moves, an unspoken battle, sandwiches and shopping. One mistake was forgivable, it made sense. But two? Two felt like something else entirely. She smiled at Rachel, and Rachel smiled back. It looked real, but what if it wasn't? Belle couldn't be sure. She could only trust the knot in her gut, and it told her what she wanted to hear. Rachel Price might just be lying. That's chapter 13. That... I don't know. I feel like... I'm torn about how I feel about Rachel Price not remembering how long she was gone. I feel like that's an important detail that I remember she said that she couldn't really remember how long she was in the basement because she couldn't really keep track of time consistently and this and that. But I feel like once you were out, I feel like people would be like, what's it like to be gone for like 16 years and your daughter's grown up? And like, I feel like that information would be drilled in your head. Also, I feel like as a mother, you would probably be like, my daughter's 16 now. Like, that's crazy, you know? Like, it's a small detail, quote unquote, but I also feel like it's not. I feel like it's also a big detail. But yeah, also Ramsey, yeah, kind of being like, hey, your mom just got back. Are you sure you don't want to do like a mom daughter day? Like, I'm happy that Ramsey at least was kind of like nice about it and was like, hey, this is gold, but I want to make sure it's fine for you guys. I also feel bad for Rachel because Rachel is trying to connect with her daughter in any way she can, and Belle's not letting her. But at the same time, she clearly has these doubts about her mother. So it's like it's hard to know whose side to be on, because I do agree, Koala, that something is fishy with Rachel. I just don't know what, and I don't know why. I don't know. It's really interesting. It's so interesting. And I feel like I say that like every other chapter, but it's true. Like it's such an interesting dynamic with this whole family. Cause like, yeah, why hasn't she at least hugged the dad? You know? Like he literally hasn't dated anyone since Rachel disappeared, at least as far as we know. So why haven't they at least hugged, for Belle and Rachel to not hug? That kind of makes sense to me, because like she was a child when this happened. She doesn't remember her mom at all, so of course it makes sense. You don't really hug someone you don't really know. But the dad and the mom to not hug, that makes me suspicious more than anything. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts on the book so far. Yeah, that was chapter 13. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Chapter 14. The White Mountains Mall had bright overhead lighting that hurt your eyes. Tinny uplifting music that didn't work at all. At least not on Belle. She couldn't tell with Rachel. The camera was nestled on James's shoulder, and Saba held the boom mic over their head, struggling to keep it steady, moving at this speed. Ramsey walked with the camera out of frame, and Ash was somewhere behind, citrus bright in a yellow spotted shirt tucked into orange pants. Rachel was walking too fast. That was the problem. Like she was running from something, chased by the camera. Belle was keeping step, side by side, but not too close, sometimes even outpacing Rachel, like they were racing to some unknown finish line. So Rachel, Ramsey said cautiously, how does it feel to be back here, in this same mall where you first disappeared over 16 years ago? There are certain things I'm not allowed to discuss, she said, as this is an ongoing criminal investigation. She didn't turn back to say it, didn't give the camera her face. Of course, I understand, Ramsey said with a deferential nod. They'd already had this discussion, but when Ramsey tried to make conversation on the drive here, Belle had sat in the front next to him, Rachel alone in the back, closely watching the world go by, smiling when they passed dogs or kids. Ramsey tried again. Does it feel surreal to be here, now you know that this place played a huge role in your mystery of your disappearance? Rachel did turn back then, cracking open a smile for the cameras. I'm happy to discuss sitting down with you for an interview another time, she said, not unkindly. Maybe tomorrow, when Anna's back at school. Ramsey looked confused by the name. He wasn't the only one. How hard could it be? Take the end of her name instead of the start. But for now, Rachel continued, pulling the smile wider, showing more teeth, I really just want to take my daughter shopping. I've waited a long time for this. No, sure. Ramsey backed off. From now on, you will see us, not hear us. Promise. Pretend like we're not here. I will, Rachel said. Again, not unkindly, but it could only be meant one way. Something like Belle would say. A small flicker played on Ramsey's lips, like he'd noticed it too. No, stop that. They were nothing alike. The mall wasn't busy. It was a Monday afternoon, meandering moms and dads' strollers, but soon every eye fell on them. A sure thing. If Belle had $5 each time. A growing buzz of whispers when people recognized the Rachel Price from the news this morning reappeared with the camera crew and going inside H&M. Okay, Rachel said inside, arms brushing up against Belle's. I just need a few basic things, really. A couple pairs of shoes, a jacket, some tops, pants, maybe a skirt, I don't know. She blinked, shy and unsure. You help me look? Tell me what will look good? Everything's a bit more high-waisted than I remember. Sure, Belle said again, because Rachel kept trapping her into it. What colors do you like? Anything, really, Rachel said, voice honey-soft. It didn't match her eyes. Maybe not red. They both thought of it then. The red top she'd disappear in. Grainy footage from this very mall. The same filthy red top she'd been forced to wear the past 16 years. If her story was real, that was. There were already 2 strikes against it. No red, Belle agreed. Belle moved off, mission in hand, distracting her from the knot of tension in her gut. Rachel and the crew followed her around like ducklings, weaving in and out of the aisles. Part of her wanted to slip away and hide from Rachel in a rack of clothing, like she never got to do as a kid. Making moms panic to prove they truly loved you. She assumed that's why kids did it. She was too old for that, and the test wouldn't work because Rachel knew more about disappearing than she did. Belle picked out a couple of nice shirts, thin sweaters for daytime, black ankle boots, plain white sneakers. Versatile, she said, passing the shoes over. Some check pants Ash probably would be jealous of. A cropped trench jacket in stone. That'll go with everything, she told Rachel, handing her the hanger. You can layer under it. You don't want something too thick for summer. Rachel made a sound in the back of her throat, eyes twinkling like she might just cry. The jacket wasn't that nice. A khaki midi skirt buttoned all the way, a black shirt dress. You can dress that up or down to be more casual. Belle added it to the pile in Rachel's hands. Some sweats, for being lazy around the house. Rachel didn't say anything this time, and Belle looked back to check she was still here. She was, crying, struggling through all the clothes to wipe her face. You don't like them? Belle asked, hovering awkwardly between the aisles. No, I love them all, thank you. Rachel finally reached the tear, brushing it away. Belle felt an ache in her gut, something new, less urgent than the knot. Her face softened, offering Rachel a half smile. Rachel complimented it, making one whole. Thank you for doing this, Anna. Anna again. And it was just the knot after all, pulling tighter now Belle had given it her attention. Rachel must have noticed the shift. Do you want something for you? She said, widening her eyes. I saw you look at that green top. Something else? And that jumpsuit. She gestured with her head, no hands free. That would look good on Carter, wouldn't it? I don't need anything, Belle said, turning away. They headed into the fitting rooms, leaving the crew behind. They had too many items to take in, each carrying several hangers, but the woman at the entrance made an exception. Maybe she recognized the Rachel Price. Belle would have to get used to that, she supposed. Here. Belle hung the clothes inside the cubicle at the far end, gestured Rachel inside. Rachel moved slowly now, glancing in before she entered. Belle reached forward to close the door for her, but Rachel's hand darted out and caught it. Maybe we don't have to shut it all the way, she said, a breathiness in her voice, close to fear. It's pretty tight in here. Tight, like 16 years in a basement. Another tug in Belle's gut. Maybe she was being unfair. 2 mistakes didn't make Rachel a liar, did it? Things felt strange, and Rachel was strange, but she would be, wouldn't she, if she'd been trapped in the dark all that time alone? Sure, we can keep it open a little, Belle said gently, guiding the door back, giving Rachel a few inches. She sat outside the cubicle, flashes of flesh and material through a small crack in the door. Wow, bras are a lot more complicated than they used to be, Rachel huffed from inside. Belle fought a smile. She lost. You okay? She called. Nearly, Rachel replied. She emerged a few minutes later, the khaki skirt skimming her calves, paired with the black ruffled top and white sneakers. She showed Belle standing there with sad, subdued jazz hands. I like them, Belle said, trying, even though it didn't come naturally to her. Wait. She moved closer, bending to her knees. What is it? Rachel looked down at her. Wrong shape? No, it looks great. It's just your socks, Belle said, reaching forward. She hesitated, seeking permission with her eyes. Rachel nodded above her. People don't wear them like that anymore. No need to push them down. Belle rolled the socks down to below Rachel's ankles, over the dressing of her left ankle where she'd been chained. Now she was this close, she noticed something else peeking over the top of the Band-Aid. There was a large scar on the inside of Rachel's ankle, a half circle, gnarled and healed, with pearly, puckered skin. Where did that come from? When? Dad had never mentioned it, and it wasn't in the press release that described Rachel's birthmark as her only identifying feature. So she must have gotten it sometime when she disappeared. Better? Rachel asked. Belle straightened up and stepped back. Better, she confirmed. Why hadn't Rachel mentioned that in her story? The man never touched her, she said, so how had she gotten that scar? Had it come from an injury you couldn't get if you were locked in the basement all this time? Next, Rachel said, retreating back into the cubicle, leaving the door ajar. No, stop it. Belle was trying. She was giving Rachel a chance. It was probably where the cuff used to rub, the same wound as before, an earlier version. She shooed away the knot in her gut. It never listened. Rachel came back out, now wearing the check pants and a white shirt, and with the black boots and the jacket on top. Belle cleared her throat to try again. Looks really good, she said. Rachel looked up at her, catching herself in the long mirror, not quite meeting her own eyes. You don't like it? Belle asked. I do, Rachel said. It's just weird seeing myself. Belle couldn't read Rachel's eyes because they wouldn't stay in one place, darting over the person in the mirror. She spun in a half turn one way and then the other. I look nice. A sound in Rachel's throat, somewhere between a sniff and a laugh. Belle chose for her, laughing quietly too. Yeah, you do. Could dress it up with some more jewelry. Rachel held one arm out, the sleeve pulling taut, looking at her bare wrist. Like that gold bracelet you have, she said. Belle stalled, mouth open. What bracelet did Rachel mean? The one with the skulls? Rachel explained, as though she could hear Belle's thoughts. Belle didn't like that, but there was something else she didn't like more. The laugh staled on her face, the smile turned bitter. I don't have that anymore. It was just 1 second. Rachel's eyes widening, staring at Belle's reflection, hiding in the back of the mirror. And then it was gone, just as fast. Rachel dropping her arm and rearranging her smile. Must be thinking of one Sherry used to wear. The knot stirred in Belle's gut. Yeah, she said. Must be. I think that's everything, Rachel beamed at herself, sharing it with Belle as she stepped back to the cubicle. The door closed and Belle dropped her smile, unwatched, unguarded. That bracelet. The one Sam Blake gave Belle for her 14th birthday. The one Belle threw in the river just a week later, when Sam said what she did about Dad. It wasn't like Rachel could have seen the bracelet lying around the house once since she'd returned. It was long gone. So how did she know about it? Another question? Another mistake? Belle didn't want to, but the knot insisted. She pulled out her phone, swiping until she found the Instagram app. On her profile, untouched in years. And the last photo Belle ever posted. A selfie of her and Sam. Belle beaming at the camera, Sam's nose nuzzling her cheek. Belle's wrist on the desk in front of them, that gold bracelet catching the light. 2 small skulls hanging by the clasp. Probably the only photo ever taken of that bracelet, the only proof of its existence before Belle made it disappear. She checked through the crack in the door that Rachel was still changing. The only way Rachel could have known about that bracelet was if she'd seen this photo after she reappeared. But that was impossible either. Rachel didn't have a phone yet. She didn't have access to any device that could connect to the internet. And she didn't have time. Belle had been with her since she returned, apart from at the police station while she was sleeping. There was no way Rachel could have seen this photo online since Saturday. So how the frick did Rachel know about the bracelet if she came out of the basement just 2 days ago? The answer was clear this time. She couldn't. Something Rachel knew that she possibly couldn't know if her story was true, which meant it wasn't. Not some of it, maybe not any of it. That wasn't just a mistake. That was a lie, which meant the other 2 weren't mistakes either. 3 lies. Belle had caught her now. And if those were lies, what else could she be lying about? Some of it? The rest of it? All of it? Was that all it was? A story crafted to fit the details it needed to fill in the mystery? It didn't even make sense. Why would the man just let Rachel go after all these years? What if there was no man? Rachel had disappeared and reappeared, and now Belle knew for sure. She was lying about some of it, maybe all of it. The door nudged open, and Rachel came out in her old clothes, oblivious, or pretending to be. A mountain pile of new ones in her arms, nearly blocking out her face. You okay? She asked Belle, trying to read her eyes. Belle blocked her out and looked down. The board had shifted again, rewriting the sides. Belle and the stranger know exactly where they belonged, on opposite sides. A liar, and the one who knew about it. Fine, she sniffed. Rachel didn't let it go. You need water? She asked. You look warm. Shopping, Belle said, as though that explained it. They stood at the back of the line for the register, the camera crew waiting for them at the front of the store. The iron fist took hold of the knot in Belle's gut and twisted it, tightened it, winding up her insides along with it. A breaking point, and Belle couldn't ignore it anymore. Rachel was distracted, looking at a rack of socks. Now was her best chance. Belle's hand snaked out, toward the nearest shelf, wrapping around one of those tiny pots of lip balm. She slipped it up her sleeve and then into the pocket of her denim jacket. Safe there. And the little lip balm fed the knot in her gut, satiating it. A reprieve, an undoing, cooling and necessary, pull and push, another secret fight where Belle didn't have to choose a side because she was the battleground. Belle looked away, accidentally meeting Ash's eyes, standing over there by the accessories, running his thumb over a bright pink headband. He hadn't seen, had he? The relief didn't last long. Standing this close to Rachel, shuffling forward until, next please. The knot redoubled, pulling at Belle's threads while Rachel pulled out Dad's credit card. The hot prick of shame, right on time. Ash didn't say anything, even if he had seen. The mall was busier when they left H&M. Was that normal for a Monday afternoon, or had word spread? People coming down to see for themselves. Not everyone recognized Rachel right away, but they knew. She was someone to be stared at. Is she that actress from the Pink Lawyer film? No, she wasn't. But that didn't mean Rachel wasn't acting, even now. A paper bag swinging at her side, matching the one in Belle's hands. People weren't just staring and pointing anymore. Phones were out, recording Rachel, Belle, and the crew as they passed, taking selfies with them in the background, trading their faces for likes and comments. Belle scratched her nose with her middle finger to ruin their videos. Rachel stopped, shoes screaming against the floor, staring ahead. Oh, it's at Starbucks now. She chewed the inside of her cheek, turning to Ramsay to explain. She must not realize he already knew everything about her that was possible to know. There was a coffee house here, the Moose Mouse Coffee House. I used to work here after college. They did the best cinnamon buns. I dreamed of having one again. Annabelle, Annabelle, I guess you don't remember. You used to get sugar all over your face. Belle shook her head. No, the cinnamon buns were gone, right along with the memories of Rachel's disappearance and what really happened. Which was not the same as what Rachel had said happened. I wanted us to have one together. Rachel's voice shrank, her eyes clouded. James panned the camera to catch the two in front of the Starbucks. Even though the coffee house wasn't here anymore, this was still the spot. The last footage of Rachel Price alive, before she and her toddler vanished here into thin air. Starbucks probably does a cinnamon bun, Belle offered. It's not the same, Rachel said with a sad sniff, moving on. Belle had no choice but to follow. At the corner, Rachel drew closer, leaning in. Down there, she whispered, so the camera and crew couldn't hear, pointing to a staff-only door. The recycling bins, where we hid. Her eyes were too close, fusing with Belle's in a way that stung. Their secret, that only one of them remembered. Belle blinked to break the link and pulled away. Did she have to believe that part of the story, at least? How else had the two of them disappeared between security cameras? Their last stop was T-Mobile, to get Rachel a phone. Ash asked the sales assistant to sign a release form. The guy was helpful, far too helpful, showing the camera his best angle as he talked to Rachel through contacts and phones, checking his hair in the glass of the store window. They settled on the newest iPhone with a monthly contract, unlimited everything. Belle winced on behalf of Dad's car as Rachel went to pay. You might find it a little confusing to set up, the guy said, clinging on to his 15 minutes of fame. Phones are touchscreen now. I'm sure your daughter can help you. Will you, Anna? Sorry, Belle. Help me set up my phone? Rachel looked at her. Of course you will, the sales assistant answered for her. Belle smiled because the camera was rolling. Sure. She left Rachel there, trailing off behind the camera to the back of the store so she could drop the act. Ash was here too, just a coincidence. She wasn't trying to stand with him. So, Ash said in a low voice, hands on his hips, anything new with you since Saturday? Belle smirked. Nothing of note. Took up knitting. Really? Ash bobbed his head. I, for one, wouldn't put needles in your hands. Why not? You seem like the stabby type, he said, their eyes meeting, a slow blink. Thank you. Belle nodded, leaning closer. You look like a sad tangerine. Thank you, he nodded back. It was annoying, how much he enjoyed her spite, matched her for it with a smile. Got rid of most people, everyone else in fact, so Ash couldn't be right in the head. Belle didn't know how to work with that. It's unbelievable, isn't it? He said, serious now, eyes straying over to Rachel. His whole thing, unbelievable. Belle studied him in secret, the outline of his straight nose down to the swell of his lips, pressed together in thought. She knew how he'd meant it, unbelievable to mean extraordinary, shocking, astonishing. But was there a chance he'd left it open to mean the other thing? That he couldn't quite believe Rachel's story? What he knew of it, at least. A splinter of doubt hiding there? If Belle told him everything, would he believe her? Would he be on her side? Someone to talk to? No, she was being ridiculous. Belle moved her eyes away. Ash didn't care. They were just here to make their movie. Then they'd go away back to England forever. Belle didn't need to push. He was leaving anyways. Yeah, unbelievable, Belle said, but she meant it the other way. That was chapter 14. I feel bad for Rachel having to be back at the mall, kind of where she disappeared, at least once. But at the same time, like, I'm so curious about her being like, what about that bracelet you had? Well, what do you mean you know about the bracelet? How could you have known, you know? Very suspicious. Chapter 15. How does it feel to finally have your mom back home, Annabelle? I'm not Annabelle, Carter said to the baying reporter following them down the sidewalk with an out-held mic, a breathless cameraman chasing after. Oh. The reporter shifted her attention to Belle instead, reaching across Carter. How does it feel to finally have your mom back home, Annabelle? Belle batted the microphone away, then another, like irritating moths slamming themselves against a bulb, never getting what they wanted. Come on, now, back up! I said back up! The officer called, a wide gesture with his uniformed arms, catching the crowd of bleeding journalists in an invisible net, pushing them away. Leave the girls alone. They're just trying to walk to school. I said back up! Dave Winter had sent over a couple of patrol officers this morning to escort Belle past the media circus that had set up outside their house. Are you scared that the man who took your mom is still out there? Might come back for her? Another called, escaping the invisible net. No, Belle wasn't scared of that. He was welcome to her, because he probably didn't exist. They aren't going to answer any of your questions, the other officer spoke now, raising her voice. Out of our way, please. Get back. The reporters gave up by the time they reached the corner of the cemetery, crawling back to their campground outside number 33. The officers didn't leave, though, walking behind them at a distance, nodding dutifully when Belle looked back at them. Didn't they have some crimes to go take care of? How has it been? Really? Carter asked, now that they were basically alone. I saw a video of you at the mall yesterday. Someone posted it online. Must have been nice, huh? To go shopping together? It was fine. Belle shrugged. It hadn't really been fine. At least now Belle knew for sure. Could stop doubting herself. Rachel Price was a liar. She just didn't know what to do with that now. Who would believe her? What else have you seen online? She asked. Someone else had to be suspicious of Rachel's story. Belle couldn't be the only one. Come on. That was what Reddit boards and Twitter threads were made for. Someone posted dash cam footage of Rachel walking along the highway, Carter said. Came up on TikTok. I didn't want to watch it. She looked hurt. I think it was taken down by the police. Belle looked sideways at her. Was it real? Looked it. Where? TikTok. No, we're on the highway. Belle said, acting like the answer didn't matter. Outside Santa's Village. Santa's Village in Jefferson, about halfway between Lancaster and home. Gosh, so there was video evidence of Rachel walking along U.S. Route 2. Maybe she really had walked those 8 long hours from Lancaster. Well, she had to have busted up her feet somehow, but that was okay. That didn't mean the rest of her disappearance and reappearance was true. The best way to hide a lie was to bury it with some truth. Belle knew that. You okay? Carter narrowed her eyes. Belle had been quiet too long, and Carter knew her too well. It's just strange, is all. Could she trust Carter with her doubts? Belle trusted Carter with most things. Hardly an unsaid thing between them, but this felt bigger somehow. Less easy to come back from once she'd given voice to it. She tried anyway. Rachel is... there's a couple things she said that don't add up. Inconsistencies. Carter sighed, bumping Belle's elbow. Belle, you're doing that thing that you do, she said gently, like she was tiptoeing around little landmines of their own. Trying to see the bad in everything, looking for reasons to push people away, which means you always find them. This is a good thing. Surely you hoped for this your entire life. It's a miracle she's back, Belle. Most people aren't that lucky. And she seems nice, Rachel. Really nice. You have to give her a chance. She's your mom. It was Belle's turn to sigh. That hurt. More because Carter had looked so deep into her and gotten it all wrong. Belle didn't push people away. She only sped up the process. An inevitable thing. Carter wasn't allowed an opinion, saying as she would be the only one doing the leaving here. She didn't understand because no one ever left her. She was a magnet, long-haired and long-legged. Stop it, Carter said, bunching her eyebrows. Stop what? Getting mad. I'm not mad. Belle lied. You're trying to be. No. Liar. Carter smiled, a less easy smile than her usual. I'm just saying. Try not to look for reasons. Just get to know her. I think you'll probably like her. Belle had been right to hesitate about telling Carter, and now Carter got to act like the sensible one, the reasonable one, tempering her wildfire cousin. Belle wasn't the problem. It was Rachel. You can hit me if it'll make you feel better. Okay. Belle's knuckles thumped into the soft flesh of Carter's arm. Ow, she whined, rubbing it. I didn't think you'd actually do it. Gosh. Thought you knew me so well, huh? Belle replied. Right, that's it. Carter gritted her teeth, disarming Belle with a hard poke to her ribs, wrapping an arm around her neck when Belle bent double, trapping her. Belle swiped with her legs, trying to take out Carter's. Why were they so freaking long? The cheat. I'll let go when you stop being grumpy. Carter laughed, their backpacks crashing together. I'm never grumpy, Belle said grumpily. Give me my head back. Carter wouldn't let go. Say please, and I love you, Carter Prize. Please and I love you, Carter Prize. Good. Carter released her neck, and Belle straightened up, her hair static, scruffy, a matching flush in their cheeks. I'm going to murder you in your sleep, Belle said, riding her backpack, walking on. The police are right behind us, Belle whispered behind her hand. They won't catch me. The officers walked them down Main Street, all the way to school. They weren't even inside, and already the staring began, not helping by the police escort. They weren't silent stares, paired with excitable whispers. And Rachel was a name that carried across the distance, that hard crunch in the middle. Don't actually murder someone today, Carter said, holding the door open for her. Can't promise. The pre-bell crowds parted for them, a buzz of voices, growing chainsaw loud, students scuffling to see. Hey, Belle, someone called her name. Belle looked the other way, ignoring them. Belle, what's she like? Ignored that one, too. The corridor split, and Belle and Carter went their separate ways. Belle felt more exposed without her, an army of one, crossing her arms to protect her chest. Down the hall past the Rachel shrine. Shouldn't they take that down now? You don't keep shrines for not dead people. The bell rang as she walked through the door to her homeroom, brimming with chatter when she did, overspilling. She took a seat next to the window, putting her backpack on the chair beside her to guard it. Hello, Belle, said a deep voice hanging above her. It was Mr. Tripp, fiddling with the lapels of his blazer, dressed up today, his dark red hair combed back. We missed you at school yesterday, he said, a nervous tick in his cheek blocking his mouth, a semi-smile. I went shopping. That's okay. Thought you'd be taking more time off to, adjust. He pushed his glasses back up his nose. Looked like he was the one who needed adjusting. I love school so much, she said. Mr. Tripp bent closer, resting his elbows on the table. How is she, dear Mom? He lowered his voice, but of course the other students had gone quiet to listen in. Fine. Then, at the concerned look in her teacher's eyes, she added, considering. He straightened up, removing his creaking elbows. If you need to talk about anything, Belle, you know I'm right here. Yep, right there. The Rachel fever had gotten to him too. The whole school was sick with it. Today was going to be hell, but at least Belle had the next 7 hours to herself without Rachel. Rachel was here. She wasn't supposed to be here. Belle had come to school to escape her, but there she was. As Belle and Carter walked out at the end of the day, standing on the grass outside, she was surrounded by a ring of chattering teachers, Principal Wheeler's voice carrying the loudest. Mr. Tripp was there too, hanging back, staring at her. He didn't blink, maybe in case Rachel vanished in the half-second his eyes were shut. It had only taken moments last time. So, Rachel, the principal groaned, will we be looking for an excuse to hire another English teacher? Your old desk has been waiting. Rachel smiled, shooing him off with a wave of her hand. I'm not ready to think about any of that yet. Of course not, Mrs. Torres said. You shouldn't have to work another day in your life, honey. I don't know about that either. Gas is more expensive than I remember. That got a laugh from the crowd, somber and polite, shuffling feet. Hey, Julian. Rachel spotted Mr. Tripp as her audience shifted. Her feet followed her eyes, pushing through to give him a hug. He held on a little too tight, like the hug was proof she was really real. Been a long time. Too long, Tripp sniffed. I thought you were dead. I'm alive, Rachel said, spinning awkwardly in the middle. I guess it's stranger for everyone else. I always knew I was alive. Always hoped I'd be able to come back. I wanted to thank you, Jules, for finding Annabelle all those years ago. Just happened to be going that way. He wiped his nose. If only I was there sooner. If only doesn't help anyone, Rachel said with a smile, sharing it with everyone else. It would be nice to catch her properly sometime. I just got a new phone. My daughter's going to help me set it up later. Belle hadn't done it yesterday, pretending she'd forgotten some homework so she could hide in her room. So maybe you could write your number down for me. Of course, sweetie. Mrs. Lawrence squeezed her shoulder. I got a pen and a notepad. She pulled them out of her purse and scribbled away, passing the notebook to the others who had worked with Rachel in the before times. Mr. Tripp went last, then tore the page off, handing it to Rachel. Thank you. She held it to her chest. So nice to see you all. I better find my daughter. Oh, Annabelle. Hi, Anna, Carter. She waved, breaking through the gang of teachers. Now Belle could see that Rachel was wearing her new trench jacket and check pants, with the sneakers that glowed white, too new. "Hi!" Carter spoke first as Rachel reached them. "Hi, girls," she smiled, slipping the piece of paper into her jacket pocket. Something jangled when she did. A rattle like keys. "How was school?" "Good," said Carter. "Fine," said Belle. Rachel widened her eyes, waiting for more than a one-word answer. "How was your day, Aunt Rachel?" Carter asked instead. "Been very busy," she said, walking towards Main Street, using her eyes to drag Belle and Carter along, forcing their feet. "Turns out there's a lot of admin when you come back from the dead." A small dry laugh. "More interview with the police. Appointment with their psychiatrist. Been down to the DMV to get my temporary license. Reopened my bank account, got new house keys. Then my mom came around for coffee." The horse fricker was back in town then. Would she ever admit she'd been wrong about Dad, now that Rachel was, alive? "We spoke on Sunday, but she flew in today. She's staying in town for a couple of weeks. Then I met with the documentary team." "That is a busy day," Carter said, giving Rachel her full attention. Belle was staring at her 2 white shoes instead, only the soles picking up dirt. Even busier, Rachel continued, speeding up. Carter keeping pace, Belle lagging behind. Had she come to walk them all the way home? The media circus would be all over that. "This afternoon, Sherry gave me a ride to the car dealership outside town. I bought a second-hand car." She pulled out a set of keys, the dealership tag still on them, dangling from her middle finger. "Nothing fancy, but I thought I'd take it out on its first spin. Come pick you 2 up from the school." "Oh, here it is." Rachel pressed a button and a car beeped, flashing at them across the grass strip that bordered the Royalty Inn parking lot. A silver Ford Escape with mean eyes and a teeth-grit grill. "Come on." Rachel cut across the grass with a skip in her step. Carter followed. Belle stayed on the sidewalk. "We usually just walk," she said. "It's not far." "Oh, I know," Rachel said, opening the driver's side door. "But I wanted to come get you. Never picked you up from school before, and if I don't watch out, I'll miss my chance. Don't worry, I remember how to drive." Belle crossed the grass, stopping before she reached the car. Carter was floating by the passenger seat, hand hesitating in the air. "Front or back?" she asked Belle, deferring to her. Rachel was waiting too, leaning up on the roof. "Jump in," she said, sticking with that smile matching her new car. Belle swallowed, elbows and jaw locking. Rachel clearly wanted her to sit in the front next to her. But would that make it seem like Belle thought any of this was okay or normal? Jump in, simple enough, but nothing Rachel said was simple. There were layers, and push and pull between them. What would Rachel win if Belle said yes? "Belle?" Carter shot her a look, gesturing between the front or the back, waiting on her answer. Or Belle could choose the back seat, which was farther from Rachel. A no of sorts, but it was still the back seat. A choice, binary, this or that, front or back, but Belle wanted neither. "I just remembered," she said suddenly, shrugging off both their eyes, looking at the sky to fish for the lie. Bars. "I said I'd meet someone after school today." Carter narrowed her eyes. "Who?" She knew. She knew Belle had no one to meet. Those same non-existent friends Ramsey wanted to interview last week. "It's this extra credit group project thing for biology. I forgot we said Tuesday after school, with everything going on." "Oh." A shadow fell across Rachel's eyes, taking the smile with it. "I should probably go," Belle said, thumb over her shoulder, backtracking from the car. "Don't want to keep them waiting." "Are you sure?" Carter said pointedly, saying something different with her face, something Rachel couldn't see. Carter knew, or she thought she knew, that Belle was doing that thing that she did. But Carter wasn't as close to all this. She couldn't see it. "Yeah," Belle said, giving no secret answers with her face. "Gotta go." Should I pick you up later?" Rachel asked, the butt of her knuckles digging into the underside of her face, leaving ghost white prints behind. "Not sure when we'll be done. Don't worry, I'll just walk home." "Thanks. See you later." Belle raised one hand in goodbye, high-fiving the breeze, turning around when she reached the sidewalk. A car door closed and another opened. She glanced back as Carter climbed into the front beside Rachel, chatting already, passing over the awkwardness Belle must have left behind. She was good at that, shining harder to compensate. A twist in Belle's gut, pulling the knot tighter. She didn't like leaving Carter alone with Rachel, but what choice did she have? Carter wasn't listening. It was okay. It would only take a couple of minutes for Rachel to drop Carter home at number 19. But the knot didn't listen to reason, feeding itself on bad thoughts, even the small ones. Belle heard the chug of the engine, joining the noise of those on Main Street as Rachel pulled out, driving Carter away. Blink and they were both gone, blocked by a stream of cars. Now what? Dad was at work, Carter was with Rachel. Grandpa didn't even remember who she was. Belle was a homebody. The world the size of 33 Milton Street. But home had been taken over. A slow invasion with a pointed smile, and now Rachel had her own keys. Belle wanted to stay away. She had nowhere to go, no one to see, no one to talk to, no one at all. Except maybe. And that's chapter 15. Okay. I mean, that last sentence, I feel like she's going to talk to Ash, right? I feel like if they don't end up together as Endgame, I feel like that's going to be weird because they keep setting up like this whole, oh, I don't think he's funny, this and that, whatever. Like, oh, he is such a crazy style of clothing. Ugh. Like, I feel like they're setting them up to be like a couple at the end. Maybe if they don't, that's going to be really, really strange. I feel like that's kind of the payoff that we're waiting for. I do understand Carter being like, hey, Belle, you gotta give her a chance, dude. Like, chill out. But I also understand her kind of with her conspiracy brain being like, this might not be my mom. Or like, you know, even if it is her mom, why did she leave? If she wasn't actually abducted, why did she leave? Because again, Belle has this huge issue with being left behind, you know? So if her mom wasn't kidnapped, then something could be wrong with Belle, in her opinion, right? I don't know. I feel like we're getting farther into the book, and I feel like we're not getting any answers. If anything, we're just, you know, seeing these little cracks in the glass. And I really don't know. I don't know where this is going. Honestly, I thought when they went shopping that maybe Belle was actually coming around to her mom. But it seems like, I mean, you know, I mean, when they were shopping, they were actually vibing, they were getting along, but then it was immediately ripped from us, and it was just like, oh, she remembers something that didn't happen when she was there. How could she have known this? Hee hee ha ha. So it's like, and now that rift is bigger between Belle and her mom. But yeah, Koala, there's so much to unpack. Why for that long? We know you said about Rachel, but you can't. No, literally, Koala. I don't understand. Like, it's so hard, and I believe Gina in a comment on the YouTube was like, I don't know how you're so I believe Gina said I'm being too nice to these characters, but at the same time, like, I feel like I'm as cautious as Belle because yeah, like why? I mean, obviously I don't like the grandma because like, I mean, I just don't like the grandma. Um, but I don't know. I like to give people the benefit of the doubt, and I feel like that maybe reflects in my real life. I feel like some people have told me, "Hey, you're being way too nice about certain people who are clearly treating you wrong, this, that, whatever." You know. Um, so I feel like just at my core, I am a person who just believes that people can change and will do the right thing, and that, you know, I just believe in second chances, you know. So I think reading books like this, like obviously I do agree with Belle where I think her mom is a little strange. But yeah, I don't want it to be the dad having to do something. I don't want it to be Rachel having done something to herself. I'm scared that the dad is like full, like just full ranting thought. I fully think that the dad low key was maybe abusive to some extent. I don't like the way they keep mentioning that Belle and the mom have been told by him, "Hey, you forgot to close the door. Hey, you broke a dish. Hey, you're forgetting the trash. You're forgetting this. You're forgetting that." I don't like that. It's too out of place. Like, of course, people forget things all the time, but I feel like, especially in books, like things are so intentionally placed that it's bothering me. Also, the like clip where one of the last clips that they watched for the documentary like he's like, how did you get home? Why are you home or whatever? And he sounds a little bit too angry for me. So like I don't want it to be the dad, but I don't know. Maybe girly pop. Um, maybe Rachel did a Gone Girl where the dad was just abusive, and so she ran away to frame him, and just now she's back. That's what keeps going through my head for this. But I don't. He didn't. I don't know. It's very very strange to me. This whole thing is very very strange. This is just like too much going on in the book, but simultaneously like we're also only given like little like sprinkles of what might be true, what might not be. So it is very very interesting. That is chapter 15. That is where we will be ending for today. Thank you for joining me for this episode of book club, and yeah,